A recession? We are not in a recession. Move along, folks. There is nothing to see here. The argument as to whether we are in a recession or about to enter one is more or less a technicality at this point. The economy is hurting, the market is bleeding, and Bitcoin seems to think the moon is underground. In today's video, we will pull out the Recession Survival Guide, and we will begin right now. A recession is a normal part of the economic cycle, and by being prepared, it does not have to be all doom and gloom. In fact, there are a lot of money-making opportunities in a recession. The best scenario for an investor, or anyone who uses money for that matter, is to enter the recession by being prepared. In fact, there are a lot of money-making opportunities in a recession. The best scenario for an investor or anyone who uses money for that matter is to enter a recession with a good dose of preparation, and that's what this guide is all about. Preparation will remove a lot of fear and lessen a lot of the more negative effects of a recession. So without any further ado, let's jump into our first tip from the Recession Survival Guide. So, what do? What is the very first thing to get yourself moving towards full recession preparedness? You need to know where you are currently with your finances. You need to take a financial inventory, money in, money out, debt, interest on debt, all of it should be in that inventory. You need to know where every nickel and dime is going. This is essential because when we move into managing those finances of yours, we want a complete picture. Once you know where your money is going and where it is coming from, we can start to think about putting together a budget. With a recession-focused budget, there needs to be a strong emphasis on downsizing your expenses. From your inventory, I am willing to bet you have identified a lot of expenses that provide no value to your life or are just very bad usages of money. These are expenses that we do not want to carry over into your budget. The goal here is to lower the flow of money going out. Within the budget you created in the previous tip, you need to also think about how you can lower costs overall. With gas being very expensive, it is going to be a big number in that budget. How can you get that number down? Look at ways to improve the efficiency of your driving. Don't run multiple errands when you can save gas by doing it all in one trip. Look for non-brand name alternatives when shopping. Most no-name products taste just as good as the brand names and come with a smaller price tag. The overall goal of downsizing is to really lower the money going out. You are going to need that money for more important things. Still in the vein of downsizing expenses, debt is one of those things that can eat away at your money very fast and, in dire situations, can turn into a compounding blizzard of misery. With inflation being so high, instead of cutting back, a lot of people have just started racking up their credit cards. This is a very, very bad idea. Going into a recession, you want to be lowering your debt. If this is you, just stop. Getting debt under control can seem daunting. Dave Ramsey liked to use the snowball method where you pay off the smallest bills first, just so you get the psychological boost from seeing some of your debts disappear. That is absolutely a valid method, but when we are thinking of a coming recession, I personally think we need to take a more hardened mathematical approach. I would suggest that you pay off the debts with the highest interest first. Still make minimum payments on all of your debts, but then by attacking the highest interest first, you are overall decreasing the debt interest you pay each month the most. Of course, if you absolutely need that psychological boost from time to time, then pay off a smaller debt and then return immediately to the highest interest one. Hopefully, you already have an emergency fund, and if you do not, this needs to be a high priority. One thing that does happen in a recession is layoffs. Hopefully that does not happen to you, but nonetheless, you still want to be prepared. The emergency fund can be a lifesaver when you unexpectedly lose your job. There are other support options such as EI, provided you have enough hours, but there are way more emergencies that can happen than just losing your job, so it never hurts to have your safety net. If you already have an emergency fund, great. All you have to do is make sure you have adjusted it for inflation so that it will cover your expenses when needed. Your incoming income is very important, and it goes without saying losing your income sources in a recession is not an ideal thing. You want to look at doing something you can do to diversify your income. Adding side hustles will not only provide additional income, but they can add a little peace of mind. Knowing you have some income coming in if you lose your job is a spark in the emotional roller coaster of losing a job. In addition to side hustles, be prepared for a layoff, just in case it does happen to you. Have your resume up to date and ready to go, so the afternoon after you lose your job, the first batch of resumes starts hitting the emails of prospective employers. If you have EI, you can be a little more picky in your job search. However, if you are solely living on your emergency fund, you do not have that luxury. You need to take whatever you can get and then keep looking on the side for something more suitable. At least the not you job will get you off of your emergency fund. If you are lucky enough to have an emergency fund and have your debts under control, and as a result have some money to invest, you are in for a treat. A recession can be a wonderful time to build your investments as you get the chance to buy all of your high conviction stocks at a discount. However, many newer investors will look at that sea of red and think, why buy now? It is only going to go down more tomorrow. That may actually be true, but it can also be wrong. For that reason, even in a recession, the best investing strategy is dollar cost averaging. Honestly, once the recession is behind us and the recovery is well on its way, it won't matter if you bought that stock when it was down 45% or 47%. Both cases will be quite profitable. Fundamentals is still important, so there will be companies that do not survive, and you do not want to hitch your horse to one of them. Pay attention. Listen to the news. For example, if you are heavily invested in Banana Co., you may want to follow every piece of news on our favorite banana-fueled company. And usually if there's serious trouble within Banana Co., that news is going to let you know, and then maybe it might be time to reconsider those investments. Investing with your emotions put aside is just as important and maybe even more important in a recession. With all that red and the overall doom mongers on the internet, it can be so easy to let fear do your trading instead of logic. A persisting red market is scary looking, and the fear of losing all your investments can move you into making stupid moves. In a sea of red, you have lost nothing until you sell and realize some pretty bad losses. You also need to realize in a recession there will be relief rallies, so islands of greens can often cause elation. Take those greens with a grain of salt, and do not let yourself get too excited, as then the return to Redsville will hurt more than it should and increase the fear more than it should, making it easier to realize those losses. If you are prepared, a recession could be a very profitable time for you as you DCA those seeds of investment that will one day again reach for the sun. If you guys loved this video, be excited. There is way more to come. Until then, why not watch one of these videos? And before you jump into that content, just be sure to like and subscribe the channel. I'll see you in the next video.